In May of 2002, Principal Chief Chad Smith and the Cherokee National Choir traveled to New York City and Washington, D.C. to honor and commemorate those who perished in, survived, or were rescued after the tragedies of September 11, 2001. The next two songs were recorded live while on tour. The first song, America, was recorded live at the Smithsonian Institution, National Museum of the American Indian in New York City. The second song, the National Anthem, was recorded live in Washington, D.C. at the Department of the Interior for Secretary Gail Norton and her staff. Acting as ambassadors for the Cherokee Nation, the children performed these songs of peace and comfort in the native language for many audiences, illustrating the Cherokee Nation's commitment to build one fire.
Test, 1, 2. Test, 1, 2. I've got audio down here on the report.
Yeah, pretty good size. Good size. Yeah. You or Audrey will be sitting next to you next week, next month. Yeah. Tell Audrey you want to get over here fast. Yeah, I guess.
Mr. President here, please your customer.
I don't think I've seen him. I'm not so sure I'd know him if I saw him, because he hadn't showed up too many places. What's up? He learned in his house still.
I'm really just returning to what I had. What I was doing. I'm bringing another turn. You never did next time?
I'll be rolling down on the floor.
I know I got him across the room. I'll turn my phone on, it'll be ringing by the time
Okay.
Hey, you're late for the T-Bar. Where are you? You still play out the Sequoia Park?
I ain't. Oh, that's what you do?
Yeah.
I ain't been there in a month and a half.
Boy, I haven't been out there either. Right? A couple of months.
Last time I saw their games were good. Yeah, they were getting good.
Well, they come out here and get ready.
He looked good again.
Yeah.
We told him that.
Yeah.
Birds bring the messages of loved ones to me. Now all creation and
Yeah.
I'm back to every time they went somewhere. That's the music. Do you beat Cherokee?
Me? Wish I did. First of all, I have to get out and study for next week.
That's all it is.
Pretty quick, wish I? like to call this meeting to order. We have an invocation by Councilman Keenan.
In the name of Jesus, we come up before thee here this day, Lord. The day that we have set aside, Lord, and you make it a reality to us. And Lord, at this time of this meeting here, we just ask you now that we'll, as the council and the administration come together here in this meeting, Lord, that we will conduct this meeting in an orderly manner. And Lord, as we come with the right motivation, as we make our decisions, Lord, and Lord, we just ask you now to be with us, guide us, direct us in the way that we should go for the betterment of the Cherokee Nation. And Lord, be with the administration and as well as the council here, Lord, with every Cherokee member that is present here this day. And Lord, we are so thankful for the glorious opportunity that you have given us, Lord, for the work with the outgoing councilmen, Lord, and we just give thanks unto you, Lord, for the short time that we had to work together. And Lord, and we thank you the things that we've done was pleasing to you. And Lord, if not, reveal it back to us, Lord, so that we can make things right with you. And Lord, that we do realize that we do have an account someday to meet with you. And Lord, make sure that our decisions are made correctly for the improvement of the Cherokee Nation and those that are in need. In your holy name we give thanks. Amen. Amen.
Okay, next item is roll call. Regina?
Bill England. Here. Mayor Cherokee. Here. John Crittenden. Here. Harold Mom. Here. Don Garvin.
Here.
Charles Thompson.
Here.
Ralph King.
Here.
John Keener. John Fincher.
Honey.
Nick Wright. Jack Martin. Stephanie Shepard. Navon Shoptown. Robert Scott. David Thornton.
Here.
We have a quorum and 15 present. Next item is approval of minutes of the previous meeting, July 14, 2003, regular session. Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes passed. Next item is State of the Nation. Chief Smith.
I'm sure most of us will feel this 4 years has passed very quickly. It's hard for me to imagine this is the 48th time I've had the honor to appear in front of the council and the people. As members of the council, let's start over. All right. August 11, 2003. It's an honor to address the Cherokee people tonight at this council meeting class. Members of the council, you don't need me to tell you what we have achieved in this last term of office. On rare occasions, we have disagreed over the last 4 years. But we resolve those disagreements with healthy debate and good government processes. We do have one last success to celebrate together. Wednesday at 4 p.m., we will have the grand opening of the Salina Clinic expansion. I'm sure Stephanie and Johnny will be there. We certainly appreciate Barbara Starr Scott's leadership as the head of the Health Committee, and I invite you all to come and see the new facility. Other things we have to celebrate is our financial systems have increased tremendously. Housing starts have increased. There's been a lot of good things happen. Regarding the election, the Cherokee Nation Election Commission certified the results of our July 24th July 26th runoff election last week. The Election Commission has sent the results of the Deputy Chief's race and District 4 race to the Bureau of Indian Affairs for notification processes. As you know, the BIA has reiterated its stance that they do not certify the election results and will recognize the leadership of the Cherokee Nation as determined by the Cherokee people. The Election Commission also sent the BIA notification of the results of the constitutional referendum in which the Cherokee people passed a new constitution. The new constitution has not been submitted to the BIA for approval. The new constitution will automatically become effective when the Bureau approves the amendment striking federal approval from the current constitutional process. We have submitted the amendment to remove the BIA from the approval process on July 18th, but we have not received word on its approval. Until that time, neither the amendment nor the new constitution are effective. The Faith Mission Church, Chester Crittenden, has proven the virtue of patience for us. The Faith Mission Church in Jay has sent the Cherokee Nation a big thank you card, and I'd like to pass that around for the council's review. The congregation signed it. They began expansion and renovation of the building. And Melvina, do you have anything to say about that endeavor?
I just want to invite everybody, Sunday afternoon, around 1 o'clock, we'll have the groundbreaking, and everybody's invited, and we'll have dinner. So you all come and join, have dinner with us, and attend the groundbreaking.
Inauguration. Inauguration festivities are set for Thursday, August 14th at 9 a.m. I know the council and incoming council members have an agenda for that event. We would be honored if each of you would attend the inauguration ceremonies Thursday morning. Since this is my last State of the Nation address, I would like to wish each of you well. Some of you will no longer be sitting here behind the desk when the council meets again. Some of you will be back to continue the progress we have started. I know we will all agree that this group is leaving the Cherokee Nation government better than they found it. The new council does not have a government to fix, and that says a lot how we have operated over the last 4 years. Finally, we need to remember that each and every one of us can serve the Cherokee people. Barbara, I know you are retiring. I'm confident you will still be a loud, strong voice for the Cherokee people. John Fetzer, I know that you are retiring, but I know that you will help Cherokees all your life. I know that is true about a number of people in this room tonight. Even though you may not serve the Cherokee Nation in an elected capacity, I'm sure that the Cherokee people can count on you in the future. We have several cultural acknowledgments tonight. I'd like to call Harry Osaway forward to recognize our language community. So Harry, if you'll come forward, please, and explain briefly what that's about.
It's my honor to be here tonight to present some plaques to the Language and Culture Committee of this council seat here. They've been real diligent in working with us in preserving our language and our culture. They've helped us in any way they can to support that cause. These individuals, too, are retiring, like the Chief said. Barbara Scott and John Fetzer, I know, have not really stepped down. I think they'll be continuing their work with the communities as they leave this council. But it is my honor to represent the Culture Center, Resource Center, to present these plaques to these individuals. The individuals are Bill Bob Martin, Johnny Keener, Melvina Scott Patch, Barbara Scott, John Ketcher, and Don Garvin. They are on this committee, and they've been real supportive, and here we have their plaques for them.
Jones, care to come forward, please? Stephanie, pray for you. Let's stand here with us. Thank you. Also tonight, another farewell. Jan Ballou, the director of our National Children's Rankin Youth Choir, resigned last Friday. As many of you know, Jan has meant a lot to this group. This group would not have won the awards and acclaim that it has without them. Jan will stay with us through the inauguration, and understand the choir wants to give her one last performance, and the council would like to honor her as well. And I believe that presentation will come in just a few minutes with the new business. Thank you very much for attending. It's been my great honor to serve you for these last 4 years. And to the council, there's been great achievements that have come about in the last 4 years because of the hard work that we've put together. I think this is a term that we can all look back on and say good things for them. So peace of you.
You can see this is well rehearsed.
Stephanie?
Right now we're supposed to have the kids coming in, so that's like how I said. Yeah. It's supposed to be one item down, so
This is a great honor we have this evening. John Ketcher is the president of our, chairman of our Language, History, and Cultural Committee. They've heard many good things about the Children's Youth Choir. They've heard a lot of good things about me because I have a personal stake. I have a couple children in this and several kinfolks, and we are so proud of Jan. This evening is about her, to recognize her, this portion, for what she has done. Language is so important, and song is one way that it is forever in the children's memories, in their souls, in their minds. My fellow councilman, John Keener, told me a while back that it's very sad today, every time we lose an elder gentleman in our churches, that the songs start to die. They're not dying now, though. Jan has been a part to make sure that that does not happen. We love her for that. And on behalf of the Tribal Council, the Chief and Deputy Chief, I will present this award that says, hereby recognizes and gratefully acknowledges Janet Ballou for her leadership role in perpetuating the Cherokee language and culture. The Cherokee Nation will reap the many benefits of your dedication and commitment to our Cherokee youth, manifested through music and song that will live on forever.
We
never would sing this voluntarily, and I can sing it tonight.
Can you help me sing? Mabutanoi nigasa Mabutanoi nigasa Ayano Ayano Yehowa Kayali Elisha Yehovah Kayali Elisha Nigo Hiraswa Cheliga Nigo Hiraswa Cheliga Gesesti Gesesti Elohim Galeni Zohai Elohim Galeni Zohai.
Thank you.
I'd like to say, I guess y'all know this. Janice didn't really talk. She just gets started to work. She might have got away from the council, the choir, but there's a lot more work ahead of her. Okay, next item. Action of unfinished business.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add 3 additional items that the council has passed in committee. I'd like to number them 5, 6, and 7. And the legislative act amending legislative act 3302 on comprehensive budget. Second item is the resolution authorizing commission to HACA, the housing plan. And the third item, legislative act establishing permanent location of Cherokee Nation Tribal Council. I would put that in the form of motion to amend the agenda for those 3 items.
Okay, we have a motion second. We made the agenda to add 3 items, make it 7.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is 2/3 2 minutes, so it's a real one.
Bill England,
Yes.
Mary Christie,
Yes.
Don Crittenden,
Yes.
Harold Lamont,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
Yes.
Charles Thompson,
Yes.
Ralph Keen,
Yes.
Johnny Keener, John Fisher,
Aye.
Nick White,
Yes.
Jacob Bob Martin,
Yes.
Stephanie Shepherd, Milton Shophouse, yes, Barbara Scott,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Unanimous, the items are added to the agenda.
Yes, sir, I'd like for those to be 5, 6, and 7.
Okay, we got a 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Next on committee report is monthly report, is Constitution Commission.
Thank you. This will be very brief. I went to a tribal council meeting out on the west side of the state. I must say it's a much calmer thing here than this. Now, I was trying to jump off of the ladder ahead of some red wasps and didn't land quite right. So, I want to thank this council for the continued support that we've gone through in this process since 1998, as I recall, when we first started, when the Constitution Commission was first appointed. We came up with the process to have community meetings. We came up with the process to have delegates. We went through a 9-day convention, and we've been 3 or 4 years getting to this point of getting the single issue amendment approved, and then the new Constitution received an affirmative vote. And as Chief Smith pointed out, we're waiting on what the Bureau is going to next do in reference to the single issue amendment, because that is what will start the process on implementing the new Constitution that the delegates put together, it seems like an eternity ago, at different points in time. So that's our only unanswered question. What the Commission is doing at present, according to our statute, is that within 6 months after the vote on if it was to be a proposed new Constitution, amendments, whatever was the outcome, that 6 months after that, then the Commission would essentially go out of business. So the next budget request that's turned in will be essentially our shutdown operations. We have been in the process through every public hearing we've had, and the whole convention process was formally recorded. It's being digitized so that it will be available. Our idea is to eventually have it on a CD so that all of the records, that if anybody ever wants to look up who said what, or when they said it, or what was done by the delegates that came to the convention, the Commission, and all the folks that's worked with us through the years on this, will have a record in one place, and they can look up exactly what the discussion was, and what happened, and why, and the votes and stuff that we've gone through. So the next budget request will be for a very short process. We have most of it completed. There's still some final things, and the final formats is what we're trying to select and go through at this point in time. One of the things that, dependent upon when the 6-month time frame is over for this Commission and the process that the nation is going through with the Bureau, because as my fellow Commissioner Marion Hagerstrand pointed out just a while ago, the implications of the Bureau approval of that single amendment referendum removing the Bureau oversight in Cherokee business is enormous in Indian country. It will weigh heavily not only on us here, but it will impact every federally recognized tribe in Alaska Village and those other indigenous and native populations that are trying to obtain status as separate sovereign governments, which we have. So, you know, Marion has been one of the cornerstones on which our work has been accomplished, and a guiding light to keep us in focus where we're really headed, because the implications of this are enormous. One of the things I would like to plant just that seed in people's mind at this point in time, and I'll close with this, I think it will be very important to closely watch this and work with whomever is in communication with the Bureau to make sure that we can expedite this process. But at some point in time, I think it may be advisable that if after 6 months is out, it might be advisable to have yet another independent citizens oversight committee or commission or something that's totally independent of the branches of government to seek guidance and provide guidance where it might be necessary. So with that, I'll close and open it for any questions.
Mr. Chairman. Charlie, have you received any kind of correspondence from the Bureau on the single amendment issue?
No.
Better outlining their position on it?
No.
Because, you know, we worked for 2 years, our commission worked, as you well know, worked for 2 years to get pre-referendum approval. And so, if I'm understanding where we're at, they have not given that approval yet, correct?
Right.
Even though they promised us ahead of time they would.
Yes. The then Assistant Secretary Neil McCaleb, who was former Transportation Secretary for Oklahoma's Chickasaw signed a letter which essentially said, and authorizing the Cherokee Nation to have a referendum vote. And the unfortunate circumstance is that last December 31st, Neil McCaleb left the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And so we're dealing with new people, and, you know, the staff doesn't change in Washington. There are some folks up there who are not necessarily our friends, and the political appointment process is different. We don't know what their current position is. The commission doesn't. We have had no communication, so we don't know exactly what the holdup is, or if that, you know, that was essentially a policy statement, and it should continue unless it's reversed. But other than that, this commission has received no communication.
Well, not only is it a policy statement, but it was the strategy of the commission to follow the procedure that took place in 1976, where then Commissioner Morris Thompson approved our Constitution, and before it was put to a vote of the people. And so it became effective upon the certification of the election. And so now I'm confused as to why the Bureau is not honoring that process.
Right. When we first communicated with them, they essentially said that if we would follow the same process that we went through before, there would be no problem, because we don't come under IRA, OIWA, or any other special legislative agendas that the Bureau had control of. So, you know, we've been to assistant solicitors, we've been to Tulsa, to Washington, you know, Ralph's been involved in this since the beginning. And so here we are, sitting and waiting for some sort of you know, if the election commission certified the results of the election for office, and the vote was certified in terms of both the single issue and the vote on the new proposed and the new Constitution, then it should be a done deal as far as I'm concerned. But, you know,
Should be.
We're waiting to find out.
I just want that to be clear to everybody, because we didn't spend 2 years of tribal resources trying to seek this pre-referendum approval for nothing. You know, we did it in good faith, that as soon as the election was completed, and then that would complete the process. But now apparently the BIA is reneging on that.
Yeah.
I don't mind saying it. I would. You don't have to. Not the first time, is it, Mark? But just so everybody understands what's happening. Thank you, Charlie.
Mr. President. Charlie, so you have not received any word from the BIA? You've not seen the latest letters that have come saying that this is all still pending at this time?
No. You know, as an independent commission, we've received no communications through this at all. And unfortunately, what we end up with is rumors. And I've heard both sides. I've heard they've approved it, and I've heard they've rejected. And you know, I want to see something writing in fact. You know, and if the chief, as the principal officer with whom the Bureau by practice communicates with, then you know that's where it stands. We don't really know. The commission don't know.
Charlie, do you believe that there may be a review because there were groups of citizens not allowed to vote or not had the opportunity to vote on that constitutional amendment?
That wasn't a part of the question with which we were involved, and it really didn't come up with any of our communications, and it was not a part of Neil McCaleb's letter. He put no restrictions or limitations. He essentially said you're authorized to have a referendum vote, and it was a vote of the people who were certified, registered, qualified. The Election Commission has words that mean, you know, these folks are the ones who can vote, and the ones who showed up did vote.
I just have one more question of you on the voting of the constitutional amendment. Did you all ever set a standard as far as how many individuals will vote? I know that the total vote cast, yes and no, was 11,214. And as of last month, our tribal membership over the age 18 is 191,032 individuals. So approximately only 5.87% of Cherokee citizens over the age 18 voted on this constitutional amendment. That 5.87% is eligible even though they're not registered. I understand that. But did you all ever have concern about trying to get, and I know you did a lot of voter education, we had very low turnover, but did you ever set a target to work with the commission and try to increase that number and make sure that we had a majority, say at least 30%, come out and vote on a constitutional amendment that will affect the government of this tribe?
The Constitution of the Cherokee Nation was the subject of my doctoral dissertation. It's the blood which runs through my veins, as it were. It is, to me, unconscionable. You know, we discussed often, why are more people not showing up at these public hearings? We had those before the convention. We had them after the convention. It is absolutely appalling to me that the document upon which our government operates did not have standing room only. Our role was to educate those who had the interest to step forward and find out what was going on, how the government operates. And our role was educational and to complete a process of putting forward a constitution upon which those who were interested and who wouldn't register to vote would. It's beyond my capacity to, and oftentimes I don't want to understand why people are not more committed and involved and vote in their elections and get involved in their government. I didn't know of that percentage. I really didn't. I know it's embarrassing at times, but you look at other elections, city, county, federal elections, not that many of the total that's eligible to vote even get registered, and even those who do don't go vote. I don't understand that either. I wish there was some way to encourage or get more people involved on that side of the equation. But as Ralph pointed out, and Ralph served on this commission, you know, we beat the bushes. We flew and braved an ice storm to get the last seat on an airplane out of Tulsa to get to California. Now, you know, that's the commitment of this commission. We were there. And you know, we'd go places nobody would show up. We'd go places one person would show up. We advertised it. We put up posters. I don't know what else we could have done to get people involved.
I just was curious about your response there, because I know it is very dear to your heart, as many, and that you did put in a lot of years and a lot of time, as many people did. And Mr. President, I know that there was a letter issued August 6th from the Bureau. And one of the persons that it was responded to, besides the Cherokee Nation, was a representative of some people that feel they did not have the opportunity to vote, and that was Mr. John Bealey. I'd like to take this time to yield the floor just a couple of minutes and for him to speak to the response that he received from the Bureau in regarding the certification.
Maybe you can answer some questions.
I'm yielding the rest of my questions to Mr. Bealey.
My name is John Bealey, counsel for a number of citizens that are Black Seminoles, also known as freedmen. Here, I guess, in the capacity to answer some questions to Ms. Shepard. What's that?
Cherokee.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Dealing with all these tribes.
Mr. Bealey, could you respond to the letter about the recognition of the principal chief and what your correspondence has been in getting the information and now action you're taking to challenge that information?
Absolutely. May I provide some background for the question? First, I'm honored and humbled by the opportunity to speak to the Cherokee Council on this issue and to the Cherokee people. Today is a historic day. On August 11th in 1866, 138 years ago, President Andrew Johnson signed on the United States' behalf the Treaty of 1866. That treaty gave the slaves and other free blacks living amongst the Cherokee Nation full citizenship in the tribe. But although the citizenship of the Cherokee Nation is very diverse, with intermarried whites, Shawnees, Delawares, and blacks, today is not a day of celebration. Today marks a day that we filed suit in Washington, D.C. on behalf of these black individuals against the Department of Interior. The basis of our lawsuit was for the Department of Interior to not recognize an election that was held because the black citizens were not entitled to vote. The basis of this act was the 1970 Principal Chiefs Act and a series of lawsuits that dealt with the Seminole Nation. There, as attached to this petition, is a lot of correspondence that has gone on between the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the chief of the Cherokee Nation. There's also been some correspondence from some of the members of this council and myself on this issue. To answer your question, Ms. Shepard, there's been a number of issues brought up around the principal chief election, around the constitutional election, and in short would deal with the entire election that would happen on May 24th and the subsequent runoff. The correspondence started in March of last year, a letter that was signed by Neil McCaleb addressing the constitutional amendment that was brought up by the speaker before me. That letter did in fact deal with the black Cherokees, and it said that Mr. McCaleb had no objection to the constitutional amendment. However, there was a couple of things that he pointed out. One was that the Cherokee freedmen should be entitled to vote. The other was he had no objection with the amendment. However, at no point can the Cherokee freedmen be voted out of the tribe as a position because of the Treaty of 1866. And at the end, that the 1970 Principal Chiefs Act still applies. That letter was followed quite bizarrely by another letter in a few months later that said that Neil McCaleb did not sign the initial letter, that he didn't advise anybody to sign a letter on his behalf, and it is not a valid letter, although it still exists and it's an exhibit in our lawsuit. What the follow-up letter said is that it still does not have a problem with removing the United States approval of a constitutional amendment, or the United States approval from the Constitution, and then omits any reference to the black freedmen and their rights to vote. However, he does say that the 1970 Principal Chief Act still applies. Now, the 1970 Principal Chiefs Act states, in pertinent part, that the Cherokee Nation, or really all 5 civilized tribes, must submit the voting requirements or voting procedures to the DIA for approval prior to the election for the Principal Chief. That was, I counted 6 or 7 pieces of correspondence to Chief Smith's office reiterating the fact that the 1970 Principal Chiefs Act still requires that. The procedures were never submitted and never approved prior to the election, and thus the basis for our lawsuit. But our lawsuit is not just based on the Principal Chief's election, it's based on the entire election, because the Treaty of 1866 provides citizenship into the Cherokee Nation, and the Cherokee Constitution also grants citizenship to the Cherokee freedmen. What the basis of this request now, and you're probably all saying, is we've never been asked about supplying these procedures before, because there was some correspondence that said that. The reason this came up is because of a number of lawsuits that happened a few years ago in which I was involved in, called the Seminole cases, Seminole 1 and Seminole 2, and to provide some feedback, and some may know about this, that on July 1st, 2000, the Seminole Nation had an election to vote out the freedmen. In that election, the freedmen were voted out. The BIA decided not to recognize that election because of a procedural requirement that they had to submit the issue to the BIA prior to approval, and that's why they had a problem, and that's why they wouldn't recognize it. So the Seminole Nation brought a lawsuit, and this is Seminole Case 1, saying the nation is sovereign and we don't have to ask your permission. The BIA responded, but the Constitution says that you do. And we intervened and said it doesn't matter. There's an 1866 treaty that ensures the black members full citizenship in the nation. The case came down that the treaty is still good and that the black members are full citizens in the Seminole Nation. During the pendency of that, there was an election for the chief. The black members were not entitled to vote in that election. Because they were not entitled to vote, when it happened, the BIA took the position that we're not going to recognize these elected officials because not all Seminoles were entitled to vote in that election. Because of that, the United States still does not recognize that election because another election has never been held in the Seminole Nation, which allows that. Virtually all federal funding was cut off of the Seminole Nation because of this no more government-to-government relationship with the folks that are in there. It's a very sad situation in that nation. Our lawsuit asks that the BIA recognize the holdovers, a matter of fact, it would be this administration, until such time that an election in which all Cherokee citizens are entitled to vote occurs. That is what's about. I hope I've answered your question about the issue that whether or not with the letters that came back in the correspondence. If not, I can field any more questions.
Mr. Chairman. What was your last name again, sir?
Veely.
Veely? Mr. Veely, exactly what type of relief are you seeking in your lawsuit, and does it include immediate injunctive relief?
It requires injunctive relief. We do not have a temporary restraining order requesting them, but we are asking that a couple of things, and I can provide this complaint to anybody if they'd like it.
I would like to see a copy of it if you.
Absolutely. I have one copy left in my car. I'll be glad to share it with you. The relief that we request is that the election be deemed illegal because not all of the Cherokees were provided the ability to vote. And the relief that we're requesting is a trustee be appointed to protect the civil rights of the Cherokee freedmen. And we ask that the BIA take the appropriate steps to ensure that a fair election in which all the Cherokees are entitled to vote be able to participate.
You understand that this current council is due to stand down on the 14th and the new councilor sworn in?
I understand that.
Do you intend or foresee some type of injunctive relief prior to that taking place?
I don't know that that's a possibility, and obviously I'm not here in front of a tribunal requesting relief from this council. I will leave it up to this council to take any relief it deems necessary. However, what may happen is that the BIA do what they did in the Seminole Nation, and that does not recognize the newly sitting council. And what they did in that nation is to cut off all government ties, and that was fairly financially devastating to the Seminoles, and it is to this day.
And you don't mind repeating that with the Cherokee Nation?
It's not my issue. It's the BIA's issue, and they've changed their policy. Their policy was very strong up until July 25th that they would not recognize this election because the tribe did not comply with the 1970 Principal Chiefs Act by submitting the procedures. The reason they were requesting these procedures is they assumed that the black Seminoles would not have the ability to vote, although the Constitution does not preclude that. The tribe can handle this any way they want. They're not a party to this lawsuit. And I've seen various different positions by various elements of the tribe on this issue.
But do you expect this council, either individually or as a body, to take action on a lawsuit that is speculative and we don't know what may happen? Do you really expect us to do that?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm not coming here asking anything of this council. I'm informing this council that we filed a lawsuit against the Department of Interior. I'm informing this council that the Department of Interior, with almost an identical fact pattern, does not recognize the Seminole Nation, in which the black members of its tribe, protected under almost an identical treaty, are not permitted the right to vote. The council may take any action it wants on that, from nothing to passing a resolution that calls for another election. I don't know.
Mr. President, I'd like to comment to Mr. King. Mr. Chair. Mr. Zini?
Yes, ma'am.
You seem to be pretty familiar. Have you had any contact with any council members sitting up here? Have you had any dealings with anybody?
I've been contacted by a number of council members.
Number of council members?
Yes.
I just can't believe what devastation that would lead to for this nation. Mr. Chairman.
Dave?
Mr. Veely, when did you file this lawsuit?
Today.
Today.
Well, I filed it today because... No, it's not, sir. To file a lawsuit against the United States of America, Bureau of Indian Affairs, you have to wait for a final agency decision. The final agency decision was August 6th. spent this weekend developing this lawsuit to file it today for the reason that the new council will take over tomorrow. So it's not after the fact, it's almost immediate. Hey, I wish I had more time, to be honest. I lost my weekend.
How long do you want to take this lawsuit?
It's a good question. This is an interesting lawsuit, and I'll provide you the feedback on it. A flurry of correspondence has happened within the last half of the last month. The BIA was adamant to follow the Seminole decision all the way through July 25th. From before the election, through the election, after the election, these procedures have not been followed. They wrote a letter on the July 25th to Chief Smith, stating that they didn't think this election should be recognized, and that they were going to essentially recognize him because he was the chief prior to that election again until this thing could be handled. They cited a case called Wheeler. Maybe you're familiar with it. Wheeler says, and I agree with the principle of Wheeler very strongly, Wheeler says that the BIA or Department of Interior should not interfere with the tribal election unless absolutely necessary. In that, though, it also states that the BIA has to interfere in an election if there is a law that states it. And there's two laws that would state it. Number one, the Principal Chiefs Act requires absolutely that the BIA approve the election procedures for the chief, in which they asked on numerous occasions, all over a year, for these procedures and never got them. So they never approved that. That's the basis of our lawsuit. The second is the 1866 treaty, which has just been determined by a court just a few years ago that it's still very valid. So the BIA is duty bound to look at this strongly. And in the Seminole 2 case, the language is very strong, and it says that the tribe has a duty to protect its minority members. But if the tribe refuses to protect its minority members, then the BIA has a duty to step in and protect them. That's what we're asking them to do. That's what the BIA did in the Seminole situation and is not doing here in the Cherokee situation, and has reversed its position literally only a couple days ago.
So would this injunction have to be put outside the BIA or by such a
Well, the BIA can make the decision, and to be... Well, Department of Interior, so yes, of course, on the BIA would be... It's those officials that, or that agency that we're suing. You're welcome. Veely, ma'am.
I don't believe, I don't know who asked you to come to the council tonight, but you've had time to clearly make your point of view. You're not on our agenda. You took up a great deal of our time. You need to argue your case in federal court. We're not here to take your position. You've given us a lot of redundant information that we already know. We don't need you to sit here and tell us. So I am not in favor of listening to more of this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next item is housing.
President, I believe I had the floor next. I do just want to make one point, is, that is that on July 25th, and this is information we received from FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, from the Department of Interior. And what Mr. Veely is saying is exactly true, that on the 25th, the Department of Interior, in their letter, stated that they recognize the chief pending a fully informed agency decision regarding the Cherokee election laws and procedures pursuant to the congressional mandate of the 1970 Act. Then, on August 6th, they made a decision. I'd just like the record that some of us will be filing a FOIA request to see the procedures that the BIA did review during this time period. It is very important that all citizens be able to have the right to vote. And we have folks that have come here, and I think just as we've listened many times to Delaware and to Shawnee, and to all different blood degrees of the Cherokee Nation, we need to listen to all people. And for folks that have never had a voice before, and the greatest of things, liberty being taken away from people. And many of us know there's a lot of hard feelings of things that happened this summer. But when it comes down to it, as all of us have said, we're one of 15 people in this council that stand up for the law and what's right. And this group had contacted us. We did not contact them. And we gave Mr. Veely a voice for people that have not been heard tonight, and that's what this is about. And if council people feel that people in the Cherokee Nation should not have a voice, they need to step down.
President, I call for the
Okay. Housing Authority. David Sullivan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
At our July 22nd board meeting, the board approved a reduction of approximately 37 staff. They also approved reducing our 7 full-service area offices to 4. Those will be located in Tahlequah, Salisaw, Jay, and Claremore. We aren't closing any office, but some of the offices are going to be downsized. Directors for those areas, for those 4 areas, will be Anita Smith, Sharon Lay, Anita's in Tahlequah, Sharon's in Salisaw, Leona Allen at Jay, and Gary Ketcher at Claremore. I have also chosen the housing managers and construction managers for those offices. Our human resources department is in the process of, they go through a scoring process to determine the employees that will be affected by the layoff. Those employees will be notified this Friday, with their last day of employment being August 25th. We're real close to getting back as far as budget-wise to where we need to be for the future. It's been kind of a tedious process, and it's been very trying on our employees, but we're just about through it, and hopefully by this time next month we can report on something besides a reduction in force. I know I'll be glad to do that. We're also losing an employee who he hasn't been with the Housing Authority for very long, maybe a couple of years. He's had a major impact, and at one point he worked for the council for a period of time. Ron Froman, has tendered his resignation. Most of you all know Ron. He's got some health problems, but he's going to take life a little easier. But I just wanted to recognize him. He's been real instrumental in securing the funding for the 5 tax credit projects that we've got going on. He's been invaluable to me, and I'm going to miss him. I think we're all going to miss him, but I'm definitely going to miss him. I just wanted to recognize him very much. You all have a question or two?
Sure.
I really believe it's going to be right around 33. There could be some folks in there that are offered jobs in a different location than they are now that don't want to take that job. So the actual layoff might be a little less than that.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Next one is Cherokee Nation Enterprises.
David Moore. The money that's allocated to Mays County whenever the housing is finished, is it moving to Jay?
No, the money will still be allocated to Mays County.
No, Mr. President.
Yes.
David, you probably know what my question is after John's question. Since Craig County's money was allocated to Mays County and it's now moved to Rogers County, is that money, those dollars moving with
Yes.
the county? Thank you.
You should go when you had a chance. I know it. Cherokee Nation Enterprises, David Stewart.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm pleased to say that last month's operations results remained strong for C&E. July results were approximately 20% above June. We are still down from last year on a monthly basis due to the lack of blackjack. and I'll talk about that in a moment. We are approximately $13 million year-to-date ahead of last year. So extremely good results year-to-date. The Gaming Commission approved a form of blackjack, which we are now accumulating the personnel within the company that were blackjack dealers and so on. We will start training in September and look for a start date in October. So I'll keep you apprised of that as we make progress on that. Outpost 1 is closed for repairs and safety. Outpost 2, we experienced a record month there with the grand opening. And if you attended that, it was a very good celebration. We had a lot of cooperation with Fort Gibson and the city of Muskogee, so that went very well. The Catoosa project is on time and on budget. We now have 4 stories up with steel, so I'd encourage you to come by. The golf course is making some great progress. All of the cart paths are in and the greens are in. And we'll be opening that next May approximately. So that's going well. We're looking forward to the holiday, and we looked at the budget and we have enough money for candy. No, lots of candy. So we're excited about that. C&E is contributing to the holiday as a sponsor, so we look forward to seeing Cherokee Casino around Tahlequah on that weekend. You know, I've been in front of this council for the past 24 months in a couple of different capacities, and I want to say that it's been a pleasure, and just respect the hard work that each of you have put in, and just want to make that comment to you in a passing note. Any questions?
Sure.
Yes, it's a fuel issue, and we're working with the EPC to work that out. So we're in ongoing discussions with them. We have a document request that we're completing, and we will get with them and keep the council apprised of how that goes. We expect that to happen soon.
David, I can't let you go without a question.
Okay.
Everything sounds great and wonderful, and everything's supposed to be really wonderful now with our big numbers that you keep giving us and telling us how you're hiring Indian people now. Mm-hmm. Well, I, for one, and I don't know about the rest of them, I, for one, keep getting complaints that they're still not being hired.
Well, we have a major internal effort to do that. We have a lot of advertising procedures that we've changed that I've informed the council about. Our hiring percentage for last month was 90%, and our overall rate is approximately 65%. So we continue to work hard on that issue, and that's.
I'm still getting the same information about in the higher levels. We're still not hiring Indian people. We're bringing people from outside, non-Indian people or non-Cherokees, whatever, and our people are still being passed over.
Well, I keep track of the organization chart and how we're moving in that direction, and I would be glad to sit down with you and show you those spots that have been filled by Cherokees. They are at some of the higher levels, and I'd be glad to go over that with you.
Well, I would like to know that you are continuing to watch that, because I will be.
Yeah. Our last month's percentage was in 90% range, so we're making every effort to increase those percentages.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Okay, next is Cherokee Nation Industries. Jim Juice.
Good evening, Deputy Chief and members of the council.
Good evening.
Total sales for our first month of the new fiscal year was $5.7 million. Profitability was about 2.2% of the sales, or about $130,000, and the profitability is slightly higher than it was last year at this time as the sales. Our bookings continue to be strong, and our backlog is somewhere in the $80 million range right now. I spent the majority of the month trying to identify new prospective customers as well as continuing to finish writing the plan for the year 2004. Our budget's in place. I just haven't put all the words with the numbers yet. I'd like to thank the retiring council members for their support to both CNI and to myself. I haven't been before you the 24 months that David has, but I've been before you the 12 months. And I appreciate all of your efforts individually. I think I've probably talked to each one of you about various things that I've needed, and I think you've done nothing but help CNI and help me, and I appreciate that. And any of the retiring members, please feel free to contact me or CNI in any way that we can either assist you or talk to you or make information available to you. That concludes my July report. Any questions?
For the whole 4 years. So I'm so pleased to have you down there working for the Cherokee people.
It's been a pleasure so far. And see you guys make it so easy for me.
Thank you. Okay, next item is new business. Number 1 is an act. Councilman Demos.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this legislative act, it modifies Legislative Act 3302, modifying the fiscal year budget, and what it is, it's a gaming commission modification. It was left out of last month, so we came back with an individual piece of legislation. What this does, it increases the line item budget of the gaming commission by $75,000. It increases the total budget by $75,594, which brings spending authority to $336,221,096. Spending authority. With that, that's in form of motion passage.
Okay, we have motion second. Questions or comments? This is an act, so it's a roll call vote. Regina?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Unanimous, that passes. Item 2 is a resolution. Councilman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution authorizing donation of EEG machine to W.W. Hastings Hospital. Would make a motion for approval.
Okay, we have motion second. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution passes. Item 3 again is a resolution. Councilman Martin.
This is a resolution authorizing a USDA Homeland Security Fund program. And, this is a grant for I move for approval. It's a grant for $25,316. There's no matching fund.
Okay, we have motion second. Questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution passes. Item number 4 again is a resolution. Councilman Martin.
This resolution authorizing the University of Arkansas Balancing Our World program. And I know I might make a comment here about this. Everybody be interested in this. This is to train women to farm. Move for approval.
I second that.
Stephanie second that beats you.
Next, they'll be wanting us riding back.
I know it. Okay. Again, we have a motion second. Question or comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. Resolution passes. Okay. Item 5 is Legislative Act. Councilman Demos.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this act amends Legislative Act 3302 also. It's mod 10, and it increases our, reflects the increase to our budget of $961,000, which changes the total budget to budget authority of $337,182,909. And I'll put this in form of motion to pass.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? If not, this is a roll call vote. Regina?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Unanimous, the act passes. Number 6 is a resolution. Council members, let me get this right.
This is a resolution authorizing the addition of the Hospital Act 2003 in-house plan. I put that on motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, resolution passes. Item number 7 is legislative act. Councilman Moss.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to bring this act to the council here. It's actually a combination of proposals from a number of council people. Starting with Mr. Garvin, wanted to confirm the name of the council house as the council house, to confirm that name. Stephanie brought forward that she wanted to confirm that that would be the location, the permanent location of the council's, the legislative body's building, so it was noted, such as the judicial is downtown at the courthouse, the administration is noted as being here at the complex, and that's to be authorized there. And also strong support from Barbara, because we worked so hard to become independent and move that over there and to fix it so that we can accommodate the constituents that we have in the other parts and do our business. And I would allow any comments or anything before I put this in form of motion.
Any more questions or comments? You can put in form of motion now.
Yes, sir, I'd like to put that in form of motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Again, I think, any more questions or comments? If not, this legislative act is a roll call vote. Regina?
Yes.
Yes.
Paul Thompson.
Yes.
John King.
Yes.
John King.
Yes.
John Fisher.
Aye.
Ms. Lane.
Yes.
Jacob Lamont.
Yes.
Kevin Shepherd.
Yes.
Emma Shophouse. Barbara Scott.
Yes.
David Gordon.
Yes.
Unanimous, the legislation passes. Okay, last one is adjournment.
I want to,
I got one way ahead of you.
I'd like to ask Angela Morgan to come forward. We have Cherokee that's going to be on Good Morning America every month. And she formerly worked for the legislature. That's probably why she picked her. And so will you come forward and tell us when we expect to see you on TV, what this, maybe just a little bit of what this is about? She has promised me she's going to spotlight Cherokee Nation.
Good evening, OCO. Some of you here might not know my first name because you know me as Jan's daughter. You know my mother worked here for 15 years and had a dynamic work ethic. And she always handed me these words of wisdom. She said, Angela, there's no greater honor than to serve our people. So I went on up in school and graduated debt-free because of Cherokee Nation higher ed funding with a bachelor's and master's degree in communications. And that always makes Coach Miller and higher ed happy when I tell people that. Opportunities started coming in from ABC News and NBC News to do television news opportunities, which I so greatly enjoy. And I remember my mother's words of wisdom again. And what was significant for me, I started out my career with Cherokee Nation by serving the Tribal Council. And this month marks 2 years that I've been in the Education Department. It also marks 2 years since I lost my mother. Lost her to diabetes, which many of you know takes so many of our people. And 1 week before I lost Mom, I got my job with Cherokee Nation. One of the last conversations we had from her hospital bed was, "Angela, you're serving our people. You are where you belong." So Mom's funeral was on a Thursday. The following Monday, I knew nothing better to do than to come through the doors of our complex, serving our people. The opportunities came back for television off and on, and I knew when the time was right I wanted to do something. Well, Good Morning America had my videotape, and they contacted me several weeks ago and said, "We're starting a new segment. Would you be interested in this? You can tape it in Tahlequah and mail it in, and it will be on once a month." And I said, yes. So it has kicked off, and they have shown a small segment, and it's going to be profiling people at different locations around the country, and they've shown the map, and they have the little dot up in northeast Oklahoma. So where I'm at, I'm going to share a little bit about my life, and I'm going to bring the Cherokee Nation into it. And my mother also taught me to give credit where credit is due, and you were the seated council when I was in graduate school and received the Cherokee Nation Graduate Scholarship. Thank you very much for your commitment to the education of our Cherokee people.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations, Angela. But I want to invite everybody out to our annual hog drive, which will be August the 24th, starting at 12:30. It's about 7 miles, 2.5 miles north of Jay. If you can get into the Samana Jay, you can find the signs. And this will be our 50th year. My father started this 2 years before I was born. No, not really. No, he started it when my twin brothers were born. I'm not going to tell if they're younger or older. But anyway, everybody's invited, and we have a wonderful gospel group coming out. You all know the Sellers family and the Rubber Band. They'll be out there singing. So everybody's invited. Thank you.
Hastings, I would just like to recognize somebody from Mesa County and Meredith. We're going to embarrass you here. But I'd like to have Meredith Fraley, and I certainly am so glad that she is stepping in the seat here. And so I know I leave tonight with a wonderful woman in fellow Mesa County and to come in here. And I wish you the best.
So, Mr. President, thank you. We had a little get-together earlier in the day when we recognized the years put in by the council members who are leaving after Wednesday, actually. And I would just like to have for the record, and we have some fantastic folks coming in, we truly do. And like we talked today, these folks may be losing the title of council member of the Cherokee Nation, but they retain the title they're most proud of, and that's Cherokee, and they always will be. So with that, I would like the council members who are going to leave us for right now to stand, because what you'll see standing is a total of 90 years, 6 months of elected representation of the Cherokee people. So would you please stand?
for 6 months.
I guess in closing, I'd like to say it's been a...
I'd just like to say, how much I've appreciated working with our chairperson. It has under better chair. Anyone that's put up with me for 4 years. Speak out of turn, lose my temper, and do whatever else, and never reach around and slap me. That's a pretty good deputy. All jokes aside, it's been truly wonderful to work with.
I'd also like to say I have really appreciated working with Chad. He and I put our cups on once in a while and we disagree, but one thing we've always been able to do this 4 years is work together and move things along for the tribe, for the betterment of the people. Sometimes he compromises, sometimes I compromise, but that's what government is all about. And to this council, we couldn't have a better council.
And whenever they didn't compromise, I had to sit in the middle. So. Had to vote, yeah. I'd like to say that I've enjoyed the 4 years. I learned a lot. I've learned to listen and look at people and see how they feel, see what they want to say. When I look down and run away, I could tell somebody wants to say something. They have that special look on them. Especially when I look over here. But it's been a pleasure, and I wish the incoming new council, new deputy chief, best of luck. This is a great place. Don't let it go down. But, I guess. Okay, we got some music. Just one. And we got John. Where's DJ? Is he still here? While you're getting ready, I'm gonna let John speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've enjoyed having you, and as Barbara said, you have been most gracious and very patient with all of us, and we appreciate you and thank you very much. We wish the incoming people the best, and I have great faith that our nation will keep continuing to go forward in working out our problems as we confront them. And I'm so happy to have served these 4 years. I don't think I've ever introduced my wife, but I'd like to do it at this time. Miss Colleen Ketcher, would you please stand? She has put up with a lot, so she deserves that applause. Thank you very much.
Yes, Harold.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting, encourage everyone to stay and listen to
Okay, did y'all hear what he said? We got a motion to dismiss. We're gonna go ahead and dismiss, and we're gonna listen to the music that give us a chance to visit. How's that? Okay, all in favor? All right. This meeting is September 15th, 6 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. This meeting is history.
We're going to do a couple of numbers, and we're going to ask you to help us on one. And again, I'd just like to say how much I appreciate the council and all that they've done for our choir. How beautiful that is. Cherokee,
Cherokee,
we're going to sing Amazing Grace. I want to hear Harold Rudy voice, okay? Sing bass. We're going to do it in English, and then we're going to come right back in Cherokee. If you don't know Cherokee, surely you can hum in Cherokee. Amen? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Who takes my love, He
Birds bring the messages of loved ones to me. Now all creation and the elders I see, taking me by the hand and guiding us all. Thank you, Creator, Idi Jale God. Idi Jale, Idi Jale, Idi